thank you to everyone joining today for Possible Day 2. I am thrilled to be back in Los Angeles, a city that's pretty close to my heart. This goes all the way back to my days at USC, and shout out to any SC alums or Trojans that are out there. We also recently announced a founding partnership with the Los Angeles Clippers and Intuit Dome. And most of you may be aware that the Intuit Dome is the most technologically advanced arena right now, probably on the planet. And we are delighted to be the official cloud analytics and AI enterprise partner for the Clippers and the Intuit Dome. So it's interesting that story of the film, and you heard from Radhika yesterday about intimacy and personalization, and really that's not the last frontier for AI, but certainly an important one. And so today we are going to focus on AI trends that are changing customer experience and why that's so very important. Yesterday, you heard from Martin about the importance of being tried and tested. You heard from Steve. He gave several examples on Formula One, on healthcare, and on banking. And then you really got the roadmap from our technical experts and our Chief Product Officer, Hillary, and her team, really clearly demonstrating how Teradata is a true leader in taking AI and really making it scale. And so we'll talk a little bit about that today, particularly around the expectations for customer experience. So what I love about the film is that it really does encapsulate two principles that Radhika raised yesterday: planting your values. And I love that because that really has to be the core and foundation of how we think about AI. It does have to start with your values, our values as people, our values as human. And then she talked about customer intimacy and what that means. And customer intimacy ultimately is about the experience that we have every single day as customers. And this probably is the generation of personalization, which we've been talking about for a long time and trying to do better and more effectively. And maybe it's a little bit better than it was, but I think our expectations around AI is that it's really going to be, we're really going to feel some kind of personal touch because people will ultimately know us better and have a deeper understanding of how they can serve our needs. Our research highlights that value creation and customer experience really are the two most important needs that AI must deliver on. So it's not optional. A lot has been made about productivity, but at some point you're going to have diminishing returns with productivity. We will be more productive, but I think that true value and true differentiation about how companies will be able to unlock their value and differentiate themselves from other companies will be through personalization. And it's going to be visceral and more tangible, something that you will feel. And those will be the powerful innovations that are going to come from AI. But we all know that this really isn't like a smooth curve because we've talked about the hype cycle. And many of you are familiar with Gartner's hype cycle and the point where you become disillusioned because it's not delivering as quickly on those promises that we all expect. But not surprisingly, when we take a closer look, it is similar to what we've seen with cloud, where there's just a big expectation, kind of a letdown, and then we finally get it together and really start delivering on what is really possible and what people are expecting. And I don't think you have to go back that far to think about what happened with cloud. It became ubiquitous, then it was kind of hyped up with inflated expectation, a slight pullback, but one could argue that we've had mass adoption of cloud. Doesn't mean that everyone's gonna go there, but for the most part, in a pretty short period of time, we've had significant adoption. AI has reached those levels of hype and beyond, and it's going to be a faster rate to the adoption than probably what we had with cloud. So last year we published a study with Forbes, and that study really surveyed over 1,000 C-suite executives globally, and we asked them about their feelings about AI, and we wanted to understand what they were thinking and how they thought that AI was going to impact them. And we found for the most part that similar to cloud, they had similar expectations around cost reduction, increased productivity, more flexibility, and of course, improved customer experience. And the more research that we've done, every time we land on improved customer experience. When you think about this slide, which was one of the points from the study, and the lens of customer experience, this was just a year ago, where 59% of organizations believed that chatbots were going to positively impact customer experience, and 30% were going to deliver AI-driven CX by 2030. Feels really pedestrian. We just did this study like 15 months ago. That's all changed because of the speed of which the changes that we've seen with customer experience and personalization. So today, what I'm going to share with you is from additional research that we've done on the practical impact of AI use cases coming to market right now. And it's important to understand how your executives in your companies are thinking about AI, and that there is some dissonance between what people are working on and projects that they have and maybe what their executives expect. Shortly, we'll also be joined by a technology leader, which is one of our customers from OSF Healthcare, a leading integrated health system company, to understand the company's views on AI and the experience and the impact that they're having on patients right now, today, and what they're doing with AI. But first, to help us kind of think about this and to learn more about the studies that we've done and to help our understanding about what those trends are, we've partnered with one of the leading B2B global market research firms, NewtonX. Some of you may be familiar with them. And I'm delighted to be joined on stage by Leon Mishkis, who is the Chief Operating Officer of NewtonX. Please join me in welcoming Leon to the stage. So Leon, thank you for joining us. One of the reasons I'm really excited that you're here is because of the idea around companies and executives, and everyone really does want to work on improving millions of lives, just like we just saw in the film. And we've been working together for actually a few years now, right? But you've surveyed thousands of C-suite executives and who really do want to improve their customer journeys. So can you please share with us some of the work that NewtonX has been up to?
Absolutely, great to be here. We're really seeing how AI is reshaping marketing and customer experience. We recently partnered with the Wall Street Journal to survey CMOs on how they believe AI is shaping up the future of marketing. And we partnered with Google Cloud to understand what do C-level executives in retail think about customer experience. And what we found is that 95% of them believe that AI will have a major impact on the customer experience.
So thank you, Lan. This really showed me how NewtonX has such a firm understanding about what executives are doing. But the number one thing that they, I think, were talking about was the value. And the second thing is the importance around closing the gap between what the expectations are and what can actually be delivered.
Absolutely. We're still in the early stages of the hype cycle. We've seen some success in identifying early value, some use cases, but there's still a very long way to go to capture the real value. In addition to the two studies that I just mentioned, we also partnered with Teradata earlier this year to do a very exciting research with C-level executives across several major functions to understand how are they navigating challenges and opportunities in AI, specifically how it relates to trust in AI and how that drives some of their decision making.
So we know from our surveys, and I can say even from some of my own experiences, that corporate boards are talking about this and they're really leaning in and asking their management teams, what are they going to do with AI? And that's not just the hype, but they are understanding that they're going to have a competitive advantage for that. They ask the businesses, how are you going to operationalize it? How are you going to infuse it into our businesses? And they're really looking to create more business value. And so what surprised you about the findings from our global study?
There's still a pretty big disconnect between ambition and reality. We saw that 84% of executives expect to see results from AI initiatives within a year, which is a very short amount of time. At the same time, only 30% believe that their company strategy is aligned with their AI strategy and the initiatives. This highlights a pretty big issue. Businesses are asking for fast, immediate returns of AI initiatives without actually integrating them into the broader business strategy.
It does remind me of some of the expectations that people had around cloud at first, too. It was going to change everything. However, AI use cases they're more mainstream than what we saw with cloud, and they're more, I guess, tangible would be an easy word to use. And ultimately, they're expecting the returns a lot faster, particularly using and leveraging generative AI. And another person who can speak to this, particularly about cloud modernization and the real impact of AI in their business, is Rupa Folger, who is the Vice President of Digital and Innovation Development at OSF Healthcare, headquartered in Illinois. Rupa and her team really develop digital technologies to really attract and guide patients through their healthcare journey, highly focused on customer experience. Please join me now in welcoming Rupa Folger. Welcome, Rupa. It's really great to have you here. I know that OSF has, I believe it's 1,900 primary care specialists, and I think you have 23,000 employees, maybe a little bit more. Please tell us a little bit more about yourself and your healthcare system.
Sure. I work in our innovation center, and my team and I, we focus on what we call as adjacent and breakthrough innovation. So we're looking at leveraging, the underpinning of this is the data and the infrastructure we built through Teradata the last decade, and leveraging the data to create not only automated solutions, but most importantly, to create differentiated user experiences. Our healthcare system is, as you said, is based in Illinois as well as in Michigan, and we serve mainly rural communities. And the data and the infrastructure is very critical in our digital-first strategy.
You're truly amazing experience, and I think you guys are really leaders in what you do. So let's start with the value that AI can deliver. Executives told us pretty clearly about its potential, and 50% were really focused on productivity, but the other 50% were really focused on the significant benefits that we can have from AI. So really pretty equal. And so can you tell us a little bit more about what OSF is doing in this area?
Sure. What we're doing is, from a rural community standpoint, we are a lot of hospitals are shutting down. In fact, more recently, we've had a report come out saying that 30% of hospitals are closing in rural communities. So, taking our digital-first strategy, what we are doing in these areas is seeing how we could identify patients that might need our care more proactively. As an example, and the mortality rate for patients that are pregnant are higher in underserved patients. So we are bringing all the data infrastructure, collaborating with community centers and identifying patients that might be pregnant or also just delivered a child, and connecting and outreaching to them, connecting them and enrolling them in our programs, as well as monitoring them and escalating and de-escalating care. The same on the cancer side. Outreaching to patients through data and through survey and gathering information and identifying patients that are at risk for cancer. And through this, we've actually identified a number of patients in early stage cancer and intervened much sooner in their care.
Thank you. That's really exciting. Our research also shows that AI's potential really in customer-facing applications remains largely untapped. And so there is this gap between the expectations that executives have on productivity versus the expectations that they have on improving customer experience. And we can see from the slide above that there's like this 12-point gap where there is this expectation on productivity and how that's going to be at least maybe some of the first use cases, and then customer experience is less than that. But we feel that this really reveals an opportunity, right, for us to really grow that expectation around how can we deliver better customer experiences, and really that's in your case, what can you do more for your patients? And so as a patient, how would I be engaged through the personalization and really what you're doing clinically around the AI models that you have?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a great question. So as I said, the foundation underpinning of all of this is the data infrastructure that we built in the last decade. And through that, we are continuing the care of a patient and connecting with them through their journey, whether it's in the wellness space. We identify patients that might need health coaches and connecting to them, whether it's in a chronic disease management where a patient might help with additional remote patient monitoring, whether it's through a high touch or a medium touch program, or when they are at the hospital and there might be better candidates for having care at home, hospital level care at home. Who doesn't want to stay at the comfort of their home but still be managed, right, from a care perspective? So all of this through data that we build out, that we identify and we connect with them. And there's always a clinician that's on the other end. So it's not just digital, right? It's somebody that they can always connect to and help them and intervene through their journey.
Thank you. So how have you seen data and AI come together to truly provide this better patient care that you've been speaking about? How do those two things work together?
So some of the examples that I stated, whether it's in the cancer or in the OB or the chronic disease management, in the past, the providers would have to look at the charts and connect to these patients when they're coming for visits. We are increasing efficiencies and scalability, leveraging the data and identifying them and connecting to these patients in a manner that they would prefer to be connected, because different demographics need, and not all of them are digital first. Some of them would prefer somebody on the other line at the other end to have a conversation with. So that's one way where really we're using efficiencies and using data to connect. And this has also helped us reduce, and not completely, we're still working on that, clinician burnout. I mean, it's rampant in this industry where we have nurses and physicians leaving because of the burnout issues. And through all of this, we've also been able to reduce what we call as pajama time for our physicians, and by just scalability and connectivity with the database solutions that we put in place.
Thank you. Leon, I know that you have many customers across many industries, particularly in healthcare. Are you seeing the same, or what are you seeing?
Yes, in many ways it's similar to digital transformations. A few years back, Many clients, different industries, different business models, but we're seeing the trend that all of them or many of them are trying to improve the customer experience using AI in very similar ways.
We agree, but that gap does, I think, present an opportunity. And so what is stopping enterprises from realizing this opportunity? What is stopping them from taking advantage of what everyone sees as a big opportunity?
Surprisingly, it's not technology, it's trust. 57% of executives are concerned about their customer reputation due to any mishaps in AI because you're giving away control of your customer interactions in some way.
Trust is such a big factor, but Rupa, how is OSF really, trust is probably healthcare is one of the most important places where trust is very, quote, important. But how is OSF using that and the governance, particularly around AI? What are you doing there?
So when patients come to us, they are at the most vulnerable state, right? And they're coming to us for care with the greatest love that we can provide. So trust is very essential. And in fact, that's the number one emotion the patients feel when they come to providers. And that trust translates into the digital solutions and the technologies we put out there. The patients expect us to understand and know them. With every time they interact, that comes through the data that we have, knowing them and understanding them. So it's so important for us that we don't lose the trust. And some of the governance, not only the people and the process, but the tools, Teradata and other technologies that we've been in place, help ensure that we are constantly improving on the trust, and the concept of the trusted AI so resonates with the work that we are doing.
And we're seeing AI is moving pretty much at an exponential speed, so we need to close these gaps in order to capture the full value. Jacqueline, we've uncovered a lot of exciting insights in our research. I'm curious, what are you bringing to your customers and business leaders?
Well, when we think about AI and really AI and us being a focus on that, we really think about aligning the value of AI with what the company wants to do. It's not, as Radhika said yesterday, it's not being done in vacuum. Martin said it, Steve said it as well. And it's really important to invest in an AI infrastructure. And we all know that starts with data and having trusted data. And that the true value can only be unlocked when you have what I would call those golden records. And so we'll say this many times, at Teradata, we believe that trusted AI is really the way that people, data, and AI work together with transparency to create value. And people must be engaged and accountable, keeping humans really at the center and at the core of everything we do around technology, and that has always been Teradata's focus. One of the other things that I would say is that transparency means that AI models and their impact on consumers always has to be explainable. People have to really understand where things are coming from in order for them to be trusted as well. And then what I would say last but not least, the importance of trusted AI is that every single transaction, every single situation, every single moment does require trust. And remember that it always starts with trust. So I'd like to thank both of you for joining me today, sharing the research that we've done. And Rupa, thank you for being a tremendous customer. Leon, thank you for being an awesome partner. And thank you all for joining this session this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.